This is the last round. All right, welcome back to the last round. I'm your host, Jim Cooley, the only host that matters, along with my co-host, Big MF, Matt Freeman. We are joined by the undefeated 11-0, coming off an amazing victory, UFC fighter, Mr. Josh Emmett. Give it up for him, everybody. What's going on, Josh?
Not much. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I know I tried to get you on before, and we had a bunch of issues, and I had to cancel, and I felt stupid, and now I feel better because you're here, and everything's great.
That's all good, man. Things happen.
Yeah, so first of all, before we talk about this last fight, which, by the way, was an amazing fight, and a lot of people thought it should have got fight of the night, including yourself. You've tweeted about it several times. A friend of the show, Leslie Smith, who comes in a lot, and she's co-host of the show, did get fight of the night. And I talked to several people who were there, and they said, man, it could have went either way.
They just wanted to give it to a female is what I think.
Yeah, you know, it's Dana's thing. You know, he's whatever. So let's talk first of all about your path to getting to the UFC, because you went undefeated in, I believe, 9 fights before even getting to the UFC. But 9 fights is pretty quick to get there. So did you feel after 9 fights like they were going to call you, or did you feel prior to 9 fights like they were going to call you?
For me, it was, I thought actually earlier. I almost got in the UFC when I was 5-0, when they went to sleep train, when TJ was going to fight Barao for the second time.
Yeah.
So I was on a conference call with Uriah and Joe Silva, and they were pretty sure they were going to go with me, and we thought it was going to happen, a last-minute replacement, but they went with someone else. And, you know, like I said, I've said it several times, I believe things happen for a reason, and I'm glad that I didn't get in when I was 5-0, because you know, I gained so much more experience, and I had some crazy, just tough fights locally and regionally, and that made me a much better fighter. And so, like I said, things happen for a reason, and everything led me to where I'm at right now, and it worked out perfect. I almost got on the Ultimate Fighter as well.
Oh, nice.
And then for some reason, I didn't get on either. And someone I previously fought, he made the show, but I think they were just trying to stack the European team. That's when Faber and McGregor coached together, so I thought it was a shoe-in, but you know, it just didn't work out. And so I think 9-0 is
not too shabby.
Not too bad. But I even think my background, I've been, you know, training with Team Alpha Male for quite some time. I actually went in there in 2006 when Uriah opened his gym, and I wanted to start fighting, and then I went away to wrestle on a scholarship at Menlo College from 2007 to 2010. Nice. Knowing that I'd come back and pick up where I left off. So
and be better.
Yeah, so exactly. So I got much better at wrestling. I got my degree, and then I came back and kind of started over again. Had a few amateur fights, and I won those as well. Right. And then, just went on a little run, you know.
Absolutely. And then, you know, you did finally get to the UFC Fight Night 87. Not only did you win, but I believe you had a compound fracture in your finger and ended up winning the fight. I think it was split decision.
Yes, split decision.
And what happened? Did that happen in the fight? Was it going into the fight where you hurt and didn't tell anybody, or is this something that went down in the fight?
It actually happened in the 3rd round. Okay. And it was a split decision, but if you watch I don't know how they thought it was a split decision. I thought I even won the 3rd round. He won the last 45 seconds of the 3rd, but he did a wheel kick, and I just went to parry it, and it just, you know, hit it in the right spot.
Did you have any pain during the fight, or just say?
Oh yeah, I definitely felt it, and everyone's just like, "Oh, the adrenaline takes over," and you don't feel that. I was like, "Oh, I definitely felt that," but I just put on the best poker face, and you know, there was nothing that was gonna stop me from winning. You know, that's been my dream to get to the UFC, and I didn't fly across the world on a 4-day notice to lose. So my coaches and teammates and family and stuff knew I was going over there to win, but everyone was counting me out. So I was ready to endure anything for 15 minutes to get that win. So it happened, the worst hand injury in UFC history in my first fight, and you know, I came out on top with the win.
Well, nobody's thinking that you're gonna lose now. 11-0. I mean, you looked great in your last fight. I think it's kind of cool to point out that you got there on your own. Uriah didn't get you there. Josh Emmett got himself to the UFC. So I want people to understand that.
Yeah, and I believe that, and I do think being a part of Team Alpha Male and Uriah does have some.
It helps a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
It helps a little bit, and you know, he has definitely has some pull. He's been trying to get me in for so long. He was showing me the text messages from him and Dana for years. And he'd be like, "Okay, have Josh win one more fight." I would get that fight. Okay, Josh is 7-0 now. You ready? Have him win one more. And then it just kept going and going. So I was, and a lot of people don't know, if I lost any of my local shows just with my age and everything, like I was done fighting,
right?
Because it would have took me too long to get back to the position I'm at, and then hopefully get to the UFC. In 2017, at the end of, if I didn't get in 2016, I was finished fighting as well.
You know, it's funny. We had Max Griffin on the show right before he went to the UFC, another local Sacramento fighter. And he told us flat out, I will not fight again unless it's in the UFC, because I put in so much work like you had, and you'd won so many fights and done so many things that you kind of get to a point where you value yourself and you say, look, I'm worth this much. I need to be fighting here and getting this sort of, publicity. And I agree with you. When you get 9-0, if the UFC is not coming, then what's the point?
As an undefeated fighter, I agree with that.
Oh my gosh,
and that's why I quit.
This guy's
fighting.
won.
I couldn't get in the
This
UFC.
guy had one fight,
and that's not important. The amount of fights that I've had.
He had one fight, and
you got to go out on top.
The judges were bad. So anyway, so now you're there, and you've had 2 great fights. Split decision aside, because we all know that you won that fight in big fashion. But after this huge fight here, have you gotten any rumbles about who you might fight next, or who do you want to fight next?
Call somebody out right now.
Do it right now. Come on, do it. Call somebody out.
I want to be a world champion, and that's why I'm doing it. I think that's why a lot of people, are fighting, because I want to be the best in the world, and I truly believe I am one of the best fighters in the world, and I will be a champion here in the next few years. But
so how do you stack? How would you fight McGregor? Like, how do you?
I would use my wrestling and stay away from
That's
that
a good
left.
move.
I want to circle to his power hand, But I don't know. I want to keep climbing the ranks, and I have 2 more fights guaranteed on my contract. So I want to, get those wins out of the way, renegotiate for a bigger contract, and then
with a title fight.
Eventually, yeah. I want to get a longer contract and more money, and I will get there. I want to go on a little run and fight minimum 4 times this year, maybe 5, 6. As long as I'm healthy, I just want to. Regionally, I was fighting 4 times a year, and I had some wars. So I'm trying to campaign to get on the UFC 209,
right.
And that's March 4th at the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, and that's my birthday, 32nd birthday.
Nice.
So I'm really hoping that happens. If not, I'm okay with. Told my managers I want to fight on the March 18th card in London, just so I can get a
trip to London.
Exactly.